The best paddle players in the world have finally come to London, and it's been a long time coming. Last year we were promised a big event, but it never happened. Meanwhile, the London paddle scene has just kept growing. More clubs, more players, and now it's got to the point where you can barely even book a court. So when Premier Padel announced they were coming to London, this felt massive. For the first time, some of the best players on the planet were going to compete right here at Kensington Olympia. Naturally, I wanted to get behind the scenes and bring you guys as much content as possible. That proved more difficult than expected, but I did manage to do something pretty special. Before her opening match, I got the chance to step onto the centre court and train with Tamara Icardo, number 10 in the world, alongside her brother Sergio, a former top 100 player and currently inside the top 200. And trust me, there are levels to this game. I also jumped on the Off Court podcast. Massive shout out to Connor and Hugo. I'll leave the full episode link below. But enough talking. Here's what happened when I trained with one of the best paddle players in the world. My partner for this session was Ben Phillips, UK Junior number 1, who actually got a wild card into the qualifying rounds of this tournament. And there's Adrian Torres, head coach of Vest, who was taking a session. And at the beginning of this session, we started with a warm-up to practice our movement at the net. This is where you just feed in the ball and you try to play angles or to your opponent's feet to finish the point. So it's a good drill to try as a warm-up for your sessions. And of course, the first thing I noticed was how good Tamara's hands were. She's got a big wingspan. She's one of the taller women's players. So she was very fast to the net and able to control the net very well. Even though I came from tennis, this kind of thing I would say is not one of my strengths. And it's something that I need to work on a lot, because sometimes my tendency at the net is just to bang the volley fast, but actually it's quite good to try and direct it with angles to your opponent's feet. Next, I had to feed a fast ball for Tamara to block, and then we played out the point. Just practicing those reactions at the net and making sure that we were testing her from the back. Obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of drop shots being played, and that's because it's a super slow court. So once you play the drop shot with a bit of slice, it just stops. And because it's slow, obviously there's a little bit less smashing, so you do want to put the lob nice and high. The slower lobs with a lot of height can be really effective. And you might be thinking, well, I saw Tapia and Coelho smashing on these courts, they can't be that slow. Well, I think that just shows how well they can smash, because to me these courts felt pretty slow. And I think it's because there's wooden planks potentially underneath the courts, or at least it felt that way. Not 100% sure, but that gave it a slower feel. And of course, the weather in London is heavy and the humidity is quite high. This was also very early in the morning, 8 a.m. So it was obviously going to be much slower than it would later in the day, but it did feel difficult to smash. But of course, if you can smash with good technique and when you're using brand new balls, the ball will still go. Adrian was actually telling me to kill Tamara with the feed. You can see her blocks are very good. So I tried to focus on transitioning into the net well, because I knew that me and Ben would be strong at the net. But as you can see, Ben and Tamara had some real battles on that cross, because actually for a tall player, she plays so well in defense. She's very mobile. And at times it feels like she's just as dangerous, if not more, from the back of the court as she is at the net, which is quite an interesting thing to notice for a player like this. Here's another great piece of play again. Ben finds that Bieber into the corner. She lets it go off the glass, plays a really good Chiquita, and hits the volley into the space. And as she moved on to practicing bajadas, Adrian feeding some lobs, you can see the way she finds the spaces on this bajada is amazing. She's able to generate a lot of power with that big wingspan, but also find the spaces very efficiently with that shot. And to be honest, me and Ben decided to go a little bit closer to the net to try and block it early, because she was so good at finding those angles. Compared to a player like Carmen Goenaga, who I recently played with, to be honest, the levels are very, very similar. It's hard to tell much difference. But what I will say is that Carmen obviously has a standout smash, which really kind of is a danger at all times. Tamara doesn't smash quite as much, but she's such an effective all-round player, and as I said, so dangerous in transition that that's something that really sticks in your mind, and clearly a reason why she's been able to do so well in the women's game, because she just doesn't have any weaknesses. Her brother Sergio, to be honest, is very difficult to play on the cross. He's a lefty, which obviously brings its own challenges, but he's also just so good. He reads the balls perfectly. You can see his experience is there. And he was a really good partner for her, I think, in this kind of training, because he's able to put pressure and set her up when he needs to. And of course, she's always able to do the rest if needed. In this point, Ben finally goes to the smash, doesn't quite go out, and then we trade volleys and we're able to almost push them back, but Sergio comes in with a very good poach at the net. Got to be really wary of him there. And yeah, it was just nice to practice some transitions from us, because we were starting right at the back, and I'd look for that high lob usually, or a chiquita, and we transition right back into the net. By the way, look at this bajada from Sergio. Literally doesn't bounce. One of Coelho's ones there. Outrageous. And we finished off with some points. We served everything to Tamara to really test her defense before she played in the tournament. My aim here was not to make too many mistakes. Obviously, I wanted to be positive with my game. I can't think too much about mistakes, but I did want to stay consistent, to give Tamara and Sergio a good session, but also give us the best chance of staying these rallies and winning points. Because, as I said, slower courts means that you do have to build a point. You have to be a bit more patient, as Ben is doing here with a lot of rouleaus and not necessarily playing that smash too early. At volley, maybe here's an example of where I could have done a bit more with the volleys. I decided to play them fast to their body, but maybe I could have played some more angles or looked for the feet. And as you could see from earlier, Tamara's chiquitas here, great disguise, plays a chiquita right down the middle, and they transition really fast. So defending those chiquitas became a really important thing for us in these points. And one thing that I'm trying to work on now is building pressure on that same opponent. So you see me playing a lot of balls down the line to build pressure in that corner, and then look for the volley either in the middle to the space or crossing the court completely, you know, playing a bit more of an aggressive volley at the right time. Maybe just rushing there after a good transition. I feel like in the transition area is where they can really get you by playing to your feet or playing fast. And you can see here, Sergio's just got great hands. And just a little word on the stadium. This place is amazing. It's beautiful and one of the nicest places I've ever played paddle. So this was a real pleasure. Obviously, we'll see that huge window at the back, which does make it a little bit tricky when the lob goes up. So that's something you might have seen in some of the early matches for the players to get used to. My feeling from watching a lot of the matches throughout this week was that actually some of the outside courts were playing a little bit better than the centre court. Maybe that's because of the light, as I mentioned, or maybe some slight differences in what's underneath the surface. But actually I saw some of the best matches on some of those outside courts. Of course, you can also get really, really close. So anyone who's coming next year, I would recommend coming a little bit earlier in the week to see matches on courts 2, 3, 4 where you can get nice and close to the action and really see the speed. In this last point, you could really see how good Sergio is. He reads my vibras so well, playing good lobs, and then he's able to punish me at the net, even though I've managed to play that to his feet. Big thanks to Adrienne and Tamara for letting us join this session. It was amazing. Tamara actually went on to play in the quarterfinals where she lost to Claudia Fernandez and her partner Calvo, who went on to win the whole thing. Two really exciting young players who are playing at an insane level this week. So I think overall Tamara's performances were very good. It's just that it was a difficult tournament given the form of those two players.